Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/PettyRevenge. In today's episode, neighbor parked on the road instead of their driveway to stop my visiting mother from parking nearby. Got a Facebook fraudster arrested. Tailgating can come with a cost. I got my childhood bully arrested. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Neighbor parked on the road instead of their driveway to stop my visiting mother from parking nearby. So I recently bought my own apartment and it needed plenty of work doing to bring it into the 21st century. There's a communal car park with each apartment having a designated space. There's also plenty of road parking available for visitors as the houses on the road have private driveways big enough for 2 to 4 cars. My parents came round daily to help me renovate, and so they often parked on the road at the nearest point to my apartment. It was still about a 50m walk to my front door, but it was close enough to be doable for my mum who struggles to walk much these days. This was in front of one of the houses with a driveway but wasn't blocking their driveway or even getting close enough to make it difficult to get out of. One day as my mum left, the neighbor ran out of the house to move her car off of her driveway and park it between the 2 spaces outside their house. She then left the car there and went out of her way to always park one of their cars there, meaning my mum had to park 100m up the road, which was really hard for her. She was exhausted by the time she got to my front door and then had to go up a set of stairs too. This weekend we had non-stop rain for the whole 2 days. It was amazing after all the heat. Guess whose fancy German saloon car had its windows most of the way down? Normally I'd knock and tell them like I did with my direct neighbors who I like. However, this woman made things difficult for my mum, just because she wanted to use the 2 spaces outside her house for visitors, as well as her 3-car driveway. While it pains me to see a nice car like that being neglected, I hope those seats were absolutely sodden. Edit: I know a similar post went up recently, it reminded me of this happening over the weekend. Edit 2. Enough people have said the exact same comment to justify this edit. My dad was usually already at my apartment as he was retired and was helping with the work at my place to keep busy. He'd use my parking space as it's closer and he'd be taking things to and from his van. He's pretty much deaf and never has his mobile with him, so he wouldn't hear a call from my mum to move his car out of my space. That's why she was parking on the road. If we knew she was coming, we'd try to accommodate her and move our cars. Some of y'all are trying to paint me as an abusive son, and I'm not even going to entertain such nonsense. Got a Facebook fraudster arrested. A few years ago my husband bought us concert tickets on Facebook. The concert was Sun O, at the Barbican in London. It was sold out and I really wanted to go. The person who he arranged to buy from and sent £90 to of course didn't send anything and blocked him immediately after she got the money. I was incensed and set out on a mission. I'll document it here, friends, so you can see some innocent in action and used for the pettiest outcomes. First off, this girl was a scammer but also an idiot. She was scamming people from her own personal Facebook page which used her real name. Let's call her Susan Smith. I made a page that said Susan Smith is a scammer and used her profile pic as the group picture, and wrote a description saying that my husband had been scammed by her in a ticket sale and that I was looking for other people with similar stories. By the end of the day there were 4 members, all with similar stories of arranging to buy tickets, sending the money, and being blocked. We all shared info of the name and the bank that we had sent money to, and realized that she was using a lot of accounts. I searched her name on the UK electoral roll and found her last 3 addresses. The UK electoral roll is public. I also submitted a complaint with Fraud Action UK, the fraud police. This is about noon. I recall eating my lunch while writing to the fraud squad. Meanwhile, I contacted the scammer herself via Facebook asking if I could buy tickets for some show. Sure, she said, and gave me her bank info. The sum was something like £280, I think it was 2 tickets to see Justin Bieber. She gave me the bank info, and when I asked why the name on the account wasn't hers, she said it was her mother's. I asked her for her mobile phone number in case there were any problems. She couldn't give it to me because it's a work phone or some bullshit. She asked if I had transferred the money and I said I had, and she insisted she didn't have it. She asked me for proof, so I quickly took a screenshot of my Barclays app and doctored the pic so it showed an outgoing transaction for £280. She calmed down a bit, but an hour later was blowing up my chat demanding her money. I finally said, "Listen, I know who you are and that you're pulling a scam," and listed her last 3 known addresses. I also told her that I was in contact with other people she scammed. I said if you return the £90 you stole from my husband we'll forget this happened. I was lying, but I was curious if she'd play ball, and she was hysterical, begging me not to go to the cops. After about 20 minutes of begging she blocked me on Facebook. Oh, the game is on. I posted screenshots of our chat and my faked Barclays transactions to the group. That evening about 6 p.m. I get an email from a fraud cop called Frank. I was amazed at how efficient they were. I guess it was a slow day. "Do you know any other victims?" Frank asked. As I approved 3 more memberships in my Facebook group, I wrote back and said yep, got 7 right here in a Facebook group, and sent a link. I posted to the group saying I got contacted by a cop called Frank, he's with Fraud Action, he might join this group and you don't have to speak to him, but if you want to nail this woman I suggest you give him all the evidence you have. High on my own petty victories, I started to scrutinize Susan's profile from another account. She had blocked me after our conversation, of course. In her profile there were pictures from her mother's recent birthday party. I downloaded the pictures and zoomed in on a picture of a table with cards and gifts on it. One of the cards was propped up and open, and when zooming in I could see the words, "Dear Valerie," peeking over the top. I searched Susan's friends list for Valerie and found her mother's profile. I messaged her mother, asking if she knew her daughter was a criminal. The mother was extremely apologetic and I did feel for her. She said her daughter was 24 and that she couldn't control her and had spent a lifetime trying to, that maybe this time she would need to face some consequences. The next morning the Facebook group disappeared, I guess because the cops had the evidence they needed and anything else risked up the case. That evening I got an email from Frank saying they were on it. I heard nothing for 6 months until I got a letter in the post saying that Susan Smith had been arrested and had pled guilty to fraud. I searched around and it was in the newspaper of the city she lived in. They busted her for about £4,000 worth of ticket fraud that she had made by joining ticket groups and promising people tickets she didn't have, taking their money, then blocking them. I suspect it was a lot more than £4,000, but it makes sense that they could only consider the evidence from the people gathered in that Facebook group. Turns out it was her second offense. She got done for this exact crime the first time in 2016 and this was March 2017. None of the victims, they found 36 in the end, got a penny back, but this criminal was finally forced to not steal from people using Facebook anymore. Tailgating can come with a cost. I drive the same way to work every day and part of my route is on a long, straight stretch of country road with nothing around and a very low speed limit. It's very easy to accelerate and before you know it you're 15 miles per hour over the speed limit. It's also a source of revenue for the town and there is usually a cruiser lurking behind some trees just waiting to give you an expensive speeding ticket. I got a warning one day and a speeding ticket after that, so I learned my lesson and resolved to only do the speed limit on that road. So, one day I'm driving home and arrived at that stretch of road just ahead of a woman driving a Corvette. I'm doing the speed limit and she's on my tail so close that I couldn't see her front bumper. I can see in the mirror that she's frustrated and angry, but it's a no passing zone and she can't get around me. I'm getting kind of annoyed because if a dog or something ran out in the road and I had to stop suddenly, she would end up in my back seat. Now comes the petty revenge. I know this road very well and I happen to know that there's a huge pothole coming up in the road ahead. It's a deep hole and not something you want to hit. So as I approached it, I passed over it so that my right front tire just missed it on the right side. She, on the other hand, had no chance of missing the hole because she was so close to me that she couldn't even see the ground in front of her, much less what was up ahead. She hit that pothole hard and dead center, and I watched her swerving around a little to get control back. She backed well off after that, and I like to think she learned a valuable lesson. I have to admit that I had a little smile on my face all the way home. I got my childhood bully arrested. I was bullied repeatedly by this guy when we were kids. I saw on his social media profile he was arrested because his profile picture was of him in one of those visiting cells. I also noticed his last name on the account wasn't the same as when we were kids. I wondered why, so I looked up his original name on the arrest warrant registry, and there was indeed an arrest warrant out for him. It matched his birth date. I reported his social media and name change anonymously and got $1,000 from his arrest. To this day, no one knows I ratted his alias to the police. I guess you can say his debt has been paid. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.